Hi,
Hi,
how how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not bad myself. Enjoying the fact that we are once again back to talk and discuss a little more on that lovely book that you shared with me, the Wisdom and Pearls of Wu Hsin.
Yes.
And Naz, yes, we
Yes.
received a fabulous feedback on the last topic of shattering the cup. And I mean, we had tremendous discussion that happened, across the internet on just that one clip. So here we go with another very interesting quote from him.
Mm.
And so I'm going to just read that out. And this time I'm going to read it out twice because you really picked a very interesting and provocative, if I may say, quotation. So it says, many there are who believe in making sacrifices to their gods. To these, Wu Hsin notes that the highest sacrifice is the sacrifice of one's absolute certainties. I know it's a mouthful, so I'm going to go once again. Many there are, so many people there are, who believe in making sacrifices to their gods. To these people, Wu Hsin notes that the highest sacrifice is the sacrifice of one's absolute certainties.
So true
I
and so
mean, it is because it is actually making me question when I read it. I'm like, wait, what is it referring to? Are we talking about dismissing rituals? Are we talking about dismissing the relationship we have as with God, where I'm going to ask for things, I'm going to offer things, and then I'm going to get those things that I wish. So launch into it, Nas. Tell us what you think he's talking about.
so first of all, we need to ask ourselves, um, why do we have a relationship with God? Okay. What is it? What does God mean to me? I mean,
Mhm.
what is my relationship with him and why am I um, you know, trying to build on a relationship if at all I'm doing that? So, to most people, God is an object of certainty, I guess, if I may put it that way, where,
Okay.
you know, um, I mean, He is there to fulfill your wishes, right? He or she. So, I guess it creates a sense of dependency and also assurance that there is someone out there who's going to fulfill my wishes. And that's the reason I'm going to look up to him. So that brings me to the next obvious understanding that it is selfish. Okay. I need something from you, and hence I want to connect with you. So it's not unconditional. Then I don't think we need to say we love God. Um, my reason for connecting with God becomes selfish. Secondly, when you talk about rituals, I know a lot of us believe in rituals because they end up giving you some sense of peace, obviously, because it becomes a habit. And then when you're not habituated to what you want to pursue as habits, it makes you feel uncomfortable. The other thing is, God is also associated with fear. If I don't do this, then I kind of will get punished. I think this is a good enough ground for us to question first, what is my relationship with God like? Okay, with the divine, and um, is God out there? Because uh, God really is our own projection. I mean, if you
Mhm.
feel fear towards God, then fear is
Mhm.
what's there within. If you feel
Mhm.
love towards God, then love is what's there within. So it brings me back to the whole understanding that I am the source of whatever I want to feel. You know,
Mhm.
Wu Sen in his, when he says the highest sacrifice is the sacrifice of one's absolute certainties. And, um, you know, in God's name, we do a lot of sacrifices as if He wants it, as if He's asking for it. most of it is our own creation in the head, and we love to follow that. Is there really any other authority that is questioning what I'm thinking? So I guess we need to evoke a stronger inner voice inside us to question our beliefs before agreeing to them. I
Mhm.
mean, even God becomes a concept then, right? So, does God really want any sacrifices? Or are you speaking to yourself all the time?
And that is very so. As you're speaking, I'm pondering about the use of the term sacrifice in two ways here. The first one is like a very literal sacrifice with an object, or giving up something, fasting. Um, the giving up part is very common in a lot of part of the world. Like, I'm going to give up eating non-veg for a while. I'm sacrificing it in order to please the gods. And I'm seeing that in the next sentence, what he's saying is if you have to sacrifice, now he's speaking of philosophy. Now he's speaking about a school of thought that if you have to sacrifice, then sacrifice the ideology.
Mhm.
So that's what I want to explore with you further, that the term is very deliberate. He has deliberately chosen a very provocative term, sacrifice, where you're like, just giving up something so precious to you. But he's saying it's not a thing, it's the ideology.
So when you associate a word like sacrifice, I mean, it indicates that I'm doing a favor on you. I mean, are you doing God any favor by sacrificing non-veg or any of your other habits? I mean, you're talking about loving the divine, right? Then how can you sacrifice in the first place, right? And you don't do things for any individual or any deity. You do things for yourself. So I guess it's important to
That's
understand.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's important to understand that you are eternally selfish, right? I-
Right,
then
right.
don't dramatize this whole concept of sacrifice. Your love for the divine is out of fear. If I don't do things, then something bad would happen. Your so-called love for the divine is to seek something, and then you're talking about sacrifice, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's absolute bullshit. I mean, it's hypocrisy to me.
true.
So
True.
so I mean, to come back to this, when he says the highest sacrifices, if at all. So sacrifice, I mean, he's actually telling us there's nothing like sacrifice. You're doing it for yourself.
Correct,
Right?
correct,
Next thing he says is the highest sacrifice, if at all there is something like sacrifice, is the sacrifice of one's absolute certainties. I mean,
correct.
you just want to hang on to something that makes you feel certain or assured. I guess that needs to be challenged. Why? Why are we such insecure beings?
So what would you exemplify? What would be some examples of these absolute certainties? What in your experience as you've spoken to people, what are most of us holding on to as these absolute certainties?
I mean, we are living in fear, right, Paro, at all times, and uh, I mean, it's become like our second nature, and because we can't deal with that so much, we want something to be certain about. I mean, the mind is playing its own games. We are continuously conversing with our own selves, and these certainties about, if I do this, will I get something back in return? If I do
Mhm.
these things, then would I be assured of safety, right? Like
Yeah.
basically, we are just looking to be safe and secure, and that's because there is so much of fear
Uh-huh.
within, and it's conditional. It is something that we have acquired, we have learned over a period of time. It's not. Um, it might be considered normal, but it's not natural. That's not what we were born with, right?
Correct.
So I think we we can't live without fear. I'm coming to that conclusion. Fear is again something that we are certain of, and we want to hang on to it because we want to hang on to fear. That's why we want to hang on to something that makes us feel certain. Just drop everything. Is it that difficult? I mean,
You know,
what?
yeah, yeah. No, it is, and we know it is difficult, and that's why this kind of paragraph brings in words like God and sacrifice, because as you were explaining so well, these absolute certainties are nothing but our fixated belief.
Yes.
Our fixated belief to the extent of uh, pros and cons. One action will lead to these pros and cons. This is the way to live life. The only God I know is my God. Those kind of things, I think, are the absolute certainties, as you were saying. And if I don't believe in that, I'm going to live in fear, and therefore I must constantly please this God by sacrificing.
Hmm. We are all victims of our own beliefs. Okay.
Yes.
So see how there's a network of belief in which we are all trapped, and we feel safe within that. And you know, I think if this, if you're interested in your awakening, then you have to let go, or you have to at least desire to let go these beliefs, because awakening is really about staying suspended and at the same time knowing that you are fully taken care of. You don't need anything to latch on to. You don't need anchors. You don't need to feel safe. You already are safe. Okay. I mean, why is there a need to feel safe and secure? Because there is fear within. As long as you hold on to that, you will have an opposing need that you will crave for, and then you will go hankering and looking for things, right? and,
Wow.
and to me, I mean, whatever I've learned from my beautiful teachers, I think, and one of my teachers, she once said that on the path of spiritual awakening, you have to let go even your opinions. You just have to be. I mean, why is it that we have an opinion for something? Because we have an opinion which originates from a belief, and we have something more to argue upon. And those arguments are again leading us to, securities, something that we want to fight for. So I guess it's time, no, where you just let go your insecurities, or even the need to feel secure. You are safe and secure, and God is not asking for any sacrifice. If at all you want to really look for what you need to sacrifice, you need to sacrifice your own need for security. I guess
Wow.
what it says.
Sacrifice your need for security. I think that
For anybody,
beautifully.
and not for anybody else, for your own sake, not for a God out there, for the divinity within, because you want to awaken. And if you really want that freedom, then do it now. Do it now.
Do it now, just like the cup, shatter it,
Yes.
and
Shatter.
sacrifice the absolute certainty that you hold on to, and do it for the divine within. What a beautiful way to bring this all together. That's really amazing. I really thought, I was wondering about the many channels this is taking, but I love how you brought it all together with talking about fears and holding on to fears and balancing that on renaming it as love for God. Eventually saying that agar kuch sacrifice hi karna hai, then give all of that up because
True.
it is divine within. Wow.
Yes.
Any final thoughts on this one before we conclude?
Don't blame it on God. I mean, whatever is happening to you, it's happening because you believe that way. You are a product of your own conditioning. Okay, nobody out there is really judging you. It's your own conversation, your own judgment that is keeping you stuck in a situation where you feel you want to get out from. So I guess it's time. I guess fall in love with freedom.
Fall
Learn
in
to be
love with.
excited. And it's okay.
That's the mantra for the day.
Yeah, you will be held by grace in ways that you would have never even known or imagined. Love is always around, and you won't fall because the grace is holding you. So you can fall back, you can relax and rest, and you would be surprised with miracles all around.
Wow. Awesome, Naz. Thank you. And on that very lovely note, I hope everybody listening to us truly takes even a piece of this, and let us start shedding our preconceived notions and fixated beliefs. Let us start now.
Yes, let us